Remember when Pep Guardiola took over as Manchester City boss in 2016? Hope was high in Manchester that he could replace the previous successes with his new club. The squad was promising, but he made a lot of changes since. So let's have a look where it all began and check out Pep's very first starting 11 as Man City boss. It was against Sunderland, his first Premier League game, and you'll be surprised by some of the names. Goalkeeper, Willy Caballero. This was a major surprise on the day, with Pep choosing not to play Joe Hart in favor of Caballero. Caballero had largely been used as a backup in his 2 years at the club, but Pep sprung a surprise for his first team selection and shocked everyone by dropping Hart. However, his time as number one was short-lived. Pep would sign Claudio Bravo from Barcelona for £17 million, immediately making him the club's number one. Caballero returned to his backup role to see out the final year of his contract with the club. He signed as a free agent in 2017 for Chelsea as an experienced backup once more. He would play just a handful of Premier League games over the next 4 seasons for Chelsea before being released. Caballero is currently the backup keeper at Southampton and has just had his deal extended by 1 more year. Right back, Bacary Sagna. Sagna had been with the club for 2 seasons when Pep took charge and was seen as the club's long-term replacement for Pablo Zabaleta. However, Sagna had struggled for fitness and form since signing from Arsenal in 2014. He played 54 times over his 3 seasons with the club before leaving at the end of his contract in 2017. We'd next see him in the Serie A for Benevento, where he signed a short-term deal to the end of the 2018 season. Sagna then finished his career by playing his final season in the MLS for Montreal Impact, playing 35 times and scoring twice. Central defenders, John Stones and Alexander Kolarov. This was John Stones' debut for the club following his £47.5 million move from Everton. Man City splashed the cash to bring Stones in, making him the second most expensive defender in the world behind David Luiz. The 22-year-old signed a 6-year deal and is still a key player in the side today. Although Stones has struggled with his form and consistency at times, it would be hard to say that the club hasn't had good value from the England defender considering all the success. And at 28, he's only just reaching the peak of his career, with plenty more still to come. Kolarov, on the other hand, was reaching the end of his time at the club here, and having signed in 2010, he would leave at the end of this campaign, having had 7 strong years. In July 2017, Kolarov joined Roma and scored the winner on his debut versus Atalanta. In September 2018, he scored against city rivals and his former team Lazio in a 3-1 win, becoming just the second player in history to score for both clubs in the Rome Derby. He went on to join Inter Milan for 1 season and won the Serie A championship in 2021. Kolarov just announced this past June that he'd now retired from football. Left back, Gael Clichy. Clichy had overtaken Kolarov to be first-choice left back over the past few years, but Clichy had struggled to regain the form he'd shown at Arsenal. Fitness issues often caused him problems, and he never played more than 28 Premier League games in his 6 seasons for City. He left the club at the end of Pep's first campaign and played 3 seasons in the Turkish Super League. The 37-year-old has 20 caps for France and currently plays in Switzerland for Servette. Central midfield, Fernandinho and David Silva. You'd be hard-pressed to find 2 more iconic figures to define the Guardiola era than Fernandinho and David Silva. Both were absolute legends for the club and were instrumental to the success of the coming years. The Brazilian would complete 9 years at Man City, in which time he was regarded as the best defensive midfielder in world football at his peak. He played 383 games before announcing that last season would be his final for the club. He returned home to Brazil and to the place he started his career, Atlético Paranaense. Silva will go down as a legend of the club, and as such is quite literally etched in stone. Such are his unbelievable contributions to the club over his 10-year service. Manchester City unveiled a statue of him outside the Etihad along with the structures of Kompany and Agüero. The statue represents his transformational role in the success the club has enjoyed. At the end of the 2020 season, Silva said an emotional goodbye to the club before signing for Real Sociedad in La Liga following his departure from City. He has played 46 games for the club. Right wing, Raheem Sterling. Like Silva and Fernandinho, Sterling would go on to be one of the central cogs of the entire Pep reign. After a controversial move from Liverpool the previous summer, Sterling matured and blossomed under Guardiola's tutelage to become one of the most frightening forwards in the world. He's improved his finishing massively and under Pep had a knack of scoring countless tap-ins at the back post. After 4 Premier League titles, an FA Cup and 5 League Cups, Sterling has this summer decided to start a fresh challenge, having joined Premier League rivals Chelsea for $47.5 million. The England forward will now join the rest of the league in trying to stop Pep's incredible City side. Keep your eyes on the return. Number 10. Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is starting his 8th season with Man City, and it would be hard to argue that anyone has had greater influence or contributed more than the Belgian, widely regarded as one of, if not the greatest passers and chance creators in the game today. De Bruyne is a Rolls-Royce of a footballer, and his smooth skills, powerful running, and passing creativity have made him vital to Pep and to City. Like the rest of City's core under Pep, De Bruyne has many pieces of silverware to celebrate their success, but he also has some significant individual awards too. He was awarded the Premier League Player of the Season in back-to-back years for the 1920 and 2021 season, and also won the PFA Player of the Year award for the same season. A true linchpin to the Pep era and how Guardiola plays football. Left wing, Nolito. The Spanish winger made his debut for City in this game following a summer move from Celta Vigo. But in truth, his impact at the club was minimal and his time was short-lived. After he and his family struggled to settle in England, he would stay just one season, having played 19 games, before returning to Spain the next summer with Sevilla. The winger enjoyed happier times at Sevilla, but would eventually return back to Celta Vigo in 2020. The 35-year-old is still playing and enjoying life at Celta Vigo today. Striker, Sergio Aguero. There are 260 reasons why Sergio Aguero will be synonymous with Manchester City forever. Goals, goals, goals. In his 10 years at the club, he was a goal-scoring machine. The truth is, had it not been for persistent injury problems throughout his career, he'd have played many more games and undoubtedly scored many more goals. Everybody remembers the last-second goal he scored against QPR in 2012 to win the Premier League, and that unforgettable moment has been captured in a statue outside the Etihad Stadium. After a decade of service, the club announced that Aguero would leave City at the end of the season. But as one of the most deadly goal scorers in the world, there was no shortage of interest in his services. He signed for Barcelona in the summer of 21, but then it all went wrong. In his 5th appearance for Barca, Aguero was withdrawn from the game with chest pains and taken to hospital. After initially trying to regain the strength and fitness to return, Aguero eventually announced his decision to retire from the game on the advice from doctors. Although it may have been a somewhat sad end to his glittering career, what he achieved at Manchester City will ensure his legacy lives forever. Winning a championship in injury time and having your own statue outside of the grounds is literally the thing of dreams. But it wasn't a dream, Aguero did it. And Pep couldn't have achieved the success he had without the core backbone that featured way back in 2016 and throughout the glory years. Stones, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, De Bruyne, and of course, Aguero. The foundation was there from day one. Guardiola just continued to build on those foundations, and now, once again, attention turns to Champions League glory to validate his legacy. Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this, why not try this video? Klopp's first Liverpool 11. Where are they now? Goodbye!